See, I believe there's three ways that people, ourselves included, go about doing things. The first of which I would label alienated doing. It is what it sounds like. We are not only in the moment in our job, we are completely separated from it. In fact, our job or our task is separate from us and pushing against us, causing us some friction. We're spiritually, emotionally, physically often disengaged. Have you ever been served by someone like that, by the way? Yeah. That's why I got started in hospitality. That's why I got started in training, because I was getting so much of this poor service. And now I consult to a lot of organisations to say, this is what you've got to do. You've got to empower your people. You've got to give them the juice. You've got to stop them feeling alienated, make them feel part of it. So there's alienated doing. Have you ever been there yourself? Yeah, I think all of us have at some time. We've all been in situations where we haven't been fully committed. The next step up the ladder, I call accepted doing. And accepted doing is when we basically decide, you know what, I'm not going to stop resisting, and I'm just going to go with this. I'm going to accept it, I'm going to almost choose it, and therefore I'm going to allow more of my energy to flow forth. Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm going to be at peace with it, even though maybe it's not exactly what I want to be doing. It'll allow me to get to the next stage in my life or my career. So I accept it. But the third, and I would say, the precipice, the peak aspiration for anyone who has a job, anyone who works, is something that I call awakened doing. Awakened doing is when we are what we do. Awakened doing is when we are in flow, where time doesn't really matter, where it's our calling. Are we pursuing that in the room? I think many of us are. We're pursuing the sense of awakened doing, because this to us is basically our own self-actualization. And I would suggest that our work, and our work doesn't have to be work, it can be homework, it can be kids' work. I would suggest that all of our work is leading us up this path, up this ladder, if you will, towards self-actualization. Our work holds the diamond, to use Leonie Feast's expression, for us to start to shine. So there's three ways of doing. Who wants to learn how to be an alienated doer? No one here? Okay, so we're not going to do that. Accepted doing is you just get on with the job. That sounds all right. You can just relax a bit. No. How about awakened doing? Anyone interested in that? Yeah? Sorry, is anyone interested in learning how to be? Okay. Well, look, I'm not saying you're not awake already, okay? You look pretty lively, and I'm sure you're going to be livelier very shortly. But the steps to awaken doing, I've thought a lot about this, and I speak to a lot of people about it, and I analyze it. I've got no life like many of us here. It's my passion. What switches people on? What gives them flair? What makes people want to just shine without worrying about what other people think? Their passion. Hey, don't train my course here. Thank you very much. No, that's fine. I'll take all input. Okay, so what I've done is I've come up with a little bit of a recipe. Yeah, we go. I've come up with a little bit of a recipe to what we need to put together, what we need to shake up, to mix, if you will, to create a state of awakened doing. Would you like to hear it? Yeah. All right, that's what I like to hear. Oh, and by the way, I should mention, once I've explained the recipe, one of you lucky individuals will be up here mixing it with me. How does that sound? Yeah, it sounds good, does it? Wow, that's good. All right, throw caution to the wind. I like it. Okay, so the first one, I think, is one we can all relate to. And I'm going to call this the C word. Control. We know control is important, don't we? We know that we need to be in control of our lives, yeah? But no one actually tells us that control is so critical that it actually goes one-to-one with our happiness. The degree of control we experience in our life equates directly to how happy we feel about our life. Hence the reason we need to be proactive and drive things, and we always feel more motivated when we're in control. Not controlling, but in control. I would suggest that as we get more in control of our relationships, we're more proactively driving the outings, the social events, we become happier. Is that true, Angela? Yes. Once we become more in control of our finances, ladies and gentlemen, entrepreneurs, we become happier. Once we become more control of our working lives and careers and direction, we become happier. It is so important. I couldn't help but draw from Andy and Angela's story this morning about the 80-hour work weeks and finding it overwhelming. As a family man, I know exactly where that comes from. But you've got two choices, don't you? Blame someone else for it or take control for changing it. And we've got to choose to take control every time if we want long-term success. Does that make sense? Okay. So our first and most important, I'd suggest this is the base ingredient. In a cocktail, the base ingredient determines the quality, determines the structure, determines the overall quality of the drink. Who watches MasterChef here? Yeah? The base ingredients to the food you're cooking, same thing. Better quality, high quality, better outcome. Control has to be the mainstay, the platform. The second ingredient. We've heard this today. Purpose. We must have a purpose in our lives, yeah? I would say that the purpose of our lives is very simple. We need to create stuff. We create businesses, like people in this room. We create paintings, if we are that way inclined. We create children, if we're really daring, and want the big lessons. But the purpose of our lives is to create. When we create, we motivate. When we create, we feel like we're achieving, we're connected, we're in flow again. Creation gives us purpose, and purpose is about serving others. So we create to serve others. I was talking to a friend of mine recently who's a professional wedding photographer, and he made a beautiful point about this. He said, a lot of people just look at photos as in lots of pieces of paper. And, I started taking all these pictures of everyone, and it just became photos after photos after photos. And he goes, and then something happened to me which made me realize why I do this, what my purpose is. I said, what was that? He said, well, I'd done a wedding gig, taken lots of photos of this beautiful couple, sent them all the stuff, had forgotten about it. A year later, I get a call at 11 o'clock at night from the groom. And my friend was a little bit annoyed getting a call about getting reprints of a certain photo, one of the photo of the two of them together. And so he said, why do you need it in such a hurry? And he was told that his wife had, just not long after they got married, contracted or been diagnosed with breast cancer and had recently died in the previous week. And at that point, Wyatt, my friend, realized that he now holds the key to one of the most treasured memories, something that he could hold on to as the time where they were everything was perfect. He wasn't just taking photos. He was recording essential, life-changing moments that people can hold on to. Do you think his approach to what he did changed? He found purpose. He found a higher reason to do what he did. I would suggest that we need to find a higher reason to do what we do. When I used to throw bottles around, do you think my higher reason because I like to show off? It actually was. But there was another one. There was another one. There was a third one. My joy was putting smiles on faces. That's what I love to do. Particularly on good-looking women's faces. No, okay, I'm going to move right off this point. We need purpose. How do we get our purpose is probably the big question. Well, we've got to go with our flow. And we hear that expression a lot, don't we? Go with the flow, go with the flow. When do you flow? I flow when I'm speaking. That's why I decided to move stuff aside and focus on that. Some people flow when they're solving complicated equations. I don't know, Nicole, if that's you. Some people flow when they're playing beach volleyball. We flow at different times. The flow gives us indication as to what our passion, where our talents, where our real heart lies. And then we need to always follow that if we want to achieve awakened doing. We can accept our lives. We can rush home at 5 and go to the pub and pretend we're enjoying ourselves. Or we can find purpose, take control, and really start to live our work and live our life. The third ingredient, and the final ingredient, and then we're going to mix up some drinks. So I know you said I was asking you if you're thirsty. You're probably dying now. The third ingredient, and this was again mentioned today, is drive. We have to do it, don't we? We have to do it. As Stephen Covey says, to know and not to do is to not really know at all. We've got to do it. In fact, I suggest we've got to do it with flair. So what do we do? In fact, I'd like to quote Yvonne here. Keep an eye on your dream and your foot on the pedal. What a great line. You know, we've just got to be in motion the whole time. We've got to always have a bias towards action. Dale says progress before perfection. Do it, make it happen. But don't do it before you've accepted control. And don't do it before you feel what your purpose really is. Don't drive down a direction that doesn't hold the journey you want to experience. We've got to drive. It's easy stuff, eh? 3 ingredients.